Mustaine just released an album with his new band. Nick Menza is working with his project Soma, and you just released your new solo album. Have you split Megadeth?
Oh, no. If anything, I think all of our solo projects and stuff has made the band stronger because in our off time, if we keep busy and we do music that's important to us, it keeps us out of trouble. And so when we came back to working on the Megadeth album, everybody was really excited, having done something productive in the off time.
When you're writing new material, do you listen to the song after you wrote it, if it fits to Megadeth or your own solo effort, or do you decide that before you write your songs?
I think all the songs that I write anyway come pretty much naturally. I just record them without even trying to write songs. I just try to put music down on tape and ideas down on tape and on paper, and I know instinctively right away whether something's going to fit into Megadeth or not. And I really don't have to think much about it. And usually when I'm writing for Megadeth, I'm kind of in the studio with Megadeth doing pre-production or in the rehearsal studio with Megadeth. I don't write too much Megadeth stuff on my downtime.
Do you agree to that your new album, Tru Obsessions, is more accessible than your previous solo albums?
Absolutely. I mean, half of the album has vocals on it, and vocals definitely make it a little bit more listener-friendly. I mean, a lot of people don't like to listen to completely instrumental albums, and myself is included. I very, very rarely listen to instrumental music. I just feel very comfortable writing it. So it's kind of odd, but I wanted vocals in there for my own listening pleasure, and I think it also makes it a lot easier for other people to relate to the music.
As we mentioned, your albums are pretty different. Do you think you have the same fans for each album, or do you think, Cacophony had their fans, your last album has its own fans, and you'll gain another group of fans with this album? Or do you think you have your own Marty Friedman fans all the time?
It's really weird because all my albums are a little bit different from each other, and I've got a lot of really loyal fans who just listen to and respect everything that I do, even though sometimes it's pretty strange. But it's just hard to say because I've done everything basically for myself. When I go in to make an album, it's completely a selfish thing. I want to record the music that I hear in my head that I have to get down and have to get out, and just to make a CD for my collection. And I don't really think too much about what kind of people it's going to attract and who's going to like it, who's not going to like it. I pretty much just want to get it down for myself and then let the record company worry about who they're going to sell it to. And I think that if anybody likes it at all, it's a bonus for me because I'm basically just doing it for myself to add to my collection. I mean, if some other artist was doing this album, and then I would just buy it, then I wouldn't have to go to the trouble of making it.
Did you write the lyrics for the album on your own, or did you bring other people in to the process of writing songs?
Actually, I brought in my singer and my co-producer, both very great lyric writers, and so I had them work on the lyrics with me, and because I feel very comfortable writing music and melodies and composing and arranging and all that stuff, and I wanted someone who was equally as comfortable with the lyrics. So I had Stanley Rose and Steve Fontano do that with me. So it's equally as pleasing to me as the music.
You did bring in a bunch of different people to play on the album. Any particular reason why you didn't use just one drummer, for instance?
Well, for example, there are two songs. One was called Live and Learn, and the other one's called Shine on Me. And when I was working on both those songs, they, to me, had kind of a Megadeth sound to them. They're kind of real aggressive guitar riffs, and I had Nick Menza playing on the record, and I decided that if Nick plays on these songs, it's going to be Nick and Marty from Megadeth, 50% of Megadeth, half of the band. I didn't want my album to sound like half of something else, half of something that people were familiar with. So on those songs, because I thought they sounded similar to something Megadeth might do. I got Carmine Appice to play drums instead of Nick, and just that small detail makes the whole thing sound like it's a totally new, unheard of band. It doesn't sound like part of Megadeth, and it just sounds like my playing in a new band, and I really like that. And that's basically how I wound up using all the different musicians, because I started to take each song as a separate piece of work and thinking who would be perfect to make this song exactly what I want it to be, instead of just taking 3 or 4 guys and playing the whole album, just settling for the best I could do. I took each song as a complete separate piece of work, and sometimes it meant calling 3 different players to play the same part and then choosing who sounded the best or who was more right for the song. And I thought that the music deserved it. I just didn't want to just play the songs with good musicians. I wanted to play songs with who I thought was the right musician to add the exact personality of the songs. And as a consequence, that took a lot more time to record. I mean, I spent 3.5 months making the record, where usually I spend 1 month. But doing that really made it, for me, a lot more of a satisfying experience, because stuff was done right. I treated it like it deserved to be treated, a major album, a major project. And I think that songs came out good for me, and that's really my goal. I just have to enjoy it myself.
I guess we can call this album commercial compared to your previous albums. Have you got any idea how your next solo album will sound like? Do you will continue in this direction, or may you release just another instrumental album next time?
I'm pretty sure there's going to be vocals on it, but I'm also trying to make it more of a one-directional kind of thing. Something that's very important to me is that the whole album sounds like one album, and it doesn't sound like 10 different styles and 10 different directions. And I think with Tru Obsessions, I pushed it to just about the limit on that. I mean, there's a lot of variety on the album, but I think that there's something that ties it all together. I think there's a thread that holds it together as one concept, one album, and one overall sound, even though it has some really high points and low points and ups and downs. I think on the next solo album, it'll probably be a little bit less of a variety and more in one direction, but I'm still working on material and demos right now, so it's hard to say what direction that'll be. But I think Tru Obsessions, I was very, very conscious of not making it sound like a musical resume, like I can do this, I can do that, because I really, really dislike albums like that. And a lot of, musicians who are primarily instrumental musicians fall into that trap, and I'm extremely aware of that. So what I think on Tru Obsessions, I mean, blending the vocal songs with the instrumental songs and the high-paced ones with the really slow, somber songs was really the challenge, and to get it all to sound like one album was my main goal, and I feel that I achieved it, at least to my own satisfaction.
Have you got time to go on tour to promote the album?
I'd like to, with my schedule in Megadeth, it's really hard because we have a big tour coming up, and we have an album coming out, and it's just so hard to find the time in the year to do that, So I'm thinking that after the Megadeth tour is over, I'm going to talk to the guys who played on Tru Obsessions and see if we want to go out on tour at that time. It may be, time to record another album for myself, or, I just might be excited about being on tour and want to take that band out, because there's been a great response to Tru Obsessions. And for the first time, people are asking me, when are you going to take your solo thing out on tour? And so many people have asked that I'm thinking that it might be worth doing. And the guys in the band who played on the record, are all interested in doing it. So it could happen.
Do you think that will happen in 1997, or will that year just be another Megadeth album and a long, extensive tour with Megadeth?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a Megadeth tour and album cycle. That might even take us well into 1998. And even so, when that tour winds up and everybody goes home, I'm going to think about taking my solo project on tour, just because I've never done it before, and I'd really like to do it just to see what the response would be, because I hear, from reviews and from fans, and I get, an idea of what people think about what my albums are about, what they like about them, what they don't like, but I've never seen an actual audience response to it. So I'm just really curious and really interested and fired up about doing that. So hopefully after the Megadeth tour cycle, I'm going to still feel the same and want to take Tru Obsessions band out.
Wish you good luck with that. Have you got a favorite track of your new album at the moment?
God, it's so hard to say. I think I could say Hands of Time as of right now, but if you called me tomorrow, it would probably change.